All right, looks like we got Coach here. With that, we'll go ahead and get started with Coach's opening statement, and then we'll open it up for questions.
All right, good to see everybody. Thanks again for joining us. And as always, we appreciate the coverage. It's been 2 weeks, and the 2020 football season where you come to expect the unexpected. So I thought we'd be talking Notre Dame last week and post Notre Dame this week. And obviously some things have happened that the Notre Dame game was canceled, and we were able to reschedule the Campbell game. So we appreciate our administration and their administration that we didn't have to go 2 consecutive bye weeks. A bye week is challenging. 2 in a row is very challenging. So we're looking forward to playing football Friday night. From the NC State game, we have some problems we got to get fixed. Credit to NC State, even though that seems like forever ago, they certainly did some things that we didn't expect. And they were able to create some leverage in the run game. We were probably slow to adjust, and they ran it very successfully against us. And so, after 2 weeks, there's a lot of things on film that we've got to clean up and we've got to improve at. And we're working hard on that. Campbell comes in here and really has taken on a great challenge this year, that they're an FCS team that's playing up 4 games in a row. I've been very impressed with them on offense. They've moved the ball against everybody. They've got a really good dual threat quarterback in Williams that has done some really nice things in the pass game, but he's very, very elusive running the football. He's their top rusher. He's got 179 yards on the year, and and that's even with his sacks. So he's got he's averaging about 80 yards a game running it for positive yardage. Some of it's designed runs, some of it, he'll drop back, and if he sees certain coverages or they'll run routes that they'll try to clear you out, then if he has a seam, he'll go, and he makes good players miss. The running backs are a little bit of a two-headed, combination there. Both Barr and Freeman are big backs. They're physical. They can get the thing downhill. Hill, the tight end, I think is a very good player. He's got height and size, good ball skills. He can run. Certainly Kelsey, the slot, Williams and Freeman on the outside, those 2 guys, Williams and Frazier on the outside and Kelsey in the slot are good players, and they've got a really big O-line. We know Michael Edwards really well, who's starting at left tackle for him. Defensively, they're very multiple. They do a lot of different things. Certainly we're very familiar with Darian Slade from West Forsyth, who's become a really good player for them, which is neat to see. I mean, I remember him in high school, and he's an all-conference safety for him and is a very good player. And we're certainly happy to see that Malik Gray is starting for them. Malik did a great job in our program and wasn't playing as much as he would like. And whenever a player transfers somewhere and they can start, you're happy for them. Malik is starting at corner, returning kicks. But there's a lot of things at Wake Forest that we've got to get better at. And playing Friday night gives us an opportunity to clean some things up. And there's certainly some threats. I mean, they had App on the run for a good 3 quarters. And then App and they really had Georgia Southern beat. They gave up a lead, and if they convert a 2-point play. So again, they've done a great job in being competitive in these games, and we're going to have to play well. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Hey, Dave, just mentally, how do you feel your team is right now? The layoff was longer than you anticipated. Is this a team that's eager to get back on the field and kind of show that maybe they're not quite what that 0-2 record indicates they are right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's, we played the number 1 team in the country, and we lost a nail biter to an in-state rival on the road. I mean, it's a lot of football left. Our players know what's going on internally in terms of, playing guys and mixing and matching. I mean, the one position for us that's just, and you talk to everybody that goes through this year, it's always one position, and it's the one position you can't afford that to happen at. And for us, that's been corner. At various times in the year, we've had 8 different corners down. We've had to move 3 safeties to corner. And then when we've moved them, they've gone down. And we're starting to get healthy. As of today, we have nobody out with COVID. We hope we're saying that on Friday night. But for the first time in a long time, we're down normal injuries. We're not down anybody right now for anything COVID related. And that's a streak that we need to keep up, because it's hard for us to get better and improve when guys aren't practicing.
Is it safe to say then that there's something more long-term with the omission of Kenneth Dix on the depth chart? And also, can you catch us up on Quentin Cooley?
Quentin Cooley is going to be out for the year. That he had an injury that had to get repaired, and we're looking forward to get him back in the spring. Kenneth Dix, I'm hoping we're going to have him this week. I was hoping we'd have him 2 weeks ago. I think he's making progress. He's close. Whether we have him this week, we should definitely have him for Virginia. That's not a long-term injury. But he was doing really well in camp, and just kind of had a muscle pull that he's had a hard time coming back from. But he's looked good in the last week, so I'm optimistic we'll have him. But it's one thing to have somebody, but when you have a young player who hasn't played, miss reps, if Sang Bassi or Amari Henderson had missed 3 or 4 practices or a week or 2, you could get them back out there because they've played a lot of football. When it's somebody who's never really played much for you, it's not just a matter of, hey, they're back, let's get them in there. That's been the challenge of, Kenneth Dix and Peyton Woolard and J.J. Roberts and Kalen Carson are these guys that if they hadn't missed any time, I think we'd feel really good about where they're at. But there's not enough accumulated reps that suddenly when they're cleared, you just stick them out there and have them go. And that's why, as much as we were disappointed that the Notre Dame game was postponed, in terms of buying us time and giving us a chance to rep some of these guys and giving them practice who missed so much time, I'm hoping there's going to be a long-term benefit to the way this all played out.
Dave, what's your trepidation, if there is any, with Campbell announcing Friday that they're calling off classes, and it seems like everything at the school is shut down other than the football program?
Connor, a lot of people have called off classes through the country and they're still playing. And I think a lot of those places feel that calling off classes gives their football team a better chance to play. So every indication from Campbell is, they were able to play last week. As far as we know, they're not having any issues, because there's issues in dorm rooms or issues with general student body doesn't always mean there's issues with athletes. And so again, I think there's many examples that probably helps give people a chance to play, doesn't hurt it. So, but, again, 2020, we might not, I won't feel good until the thing's kicked off. So you got to prepare and be ready and stay ready. But at any point, things can change.
With the Friday night game, do you change your testing days by any chance?
Yes, because we have to test 3 times a week. So normally we test Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So now we'll test Monday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Dave, can you talk a little bit about Coach Hunter? He's obviously got to worry about his running backs, but he also has a son at App State, and they had a bunch of stuff go wrong, but they would still were able to play. Can you appreciate a little bit what Coach Hunter's going through, because he's got a son and he's trying to keep everybody healthy on his side of his running backs as well?
Yeah, he's got concern as a coach. He's got concern as a husband that he doesn't want to bring it home to his wife, and he's got a concern for 2 college athletes. His daughter is also a soccer player.
Okay.
So yeah, we've learned some lessons through Bear Hunter at App of things that they've done and not done. And I think we're all learning this together. So I think there's a bunch of examples of things that people have done to keep themselves safe, and examples that if they had it over, they would do it differently, and how they learned. And we're trying to learn from everybody in this process. So I certainly am asking Coach Hunter all the time, is there anything App's doing, or do they wish they did something different, or what's Bear sharing with you to help our team safe? And I saw Clemson get off their buses and they all had masks and PPE shields on. And I said, that's a great idea, that I don't want to take any chance that our players catch it from one another in the bus. So when we traveled to NC State, I mean, we looked like we were going into a hazardous waste site.
And is Coach Hunter the only one that has a college athlete on staff, or your staff? Is there anybody else that you remember?
Well, you're gonna make me mentally go through the whole staff now.
I thought he was the only one that had a football player. I'm
pretty sure, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So, but yeah, and you hate to hear that, but they were still able to play the game, and they were finding a way to win. And his son was out there playing, but it's my first concern is always for Coach, for Bear, that I've known Bear since he was. And this goes back to 2008 now. So, I've known Bear since he was 9 and 10 years old. And, our family and the Hunter family and the Ruggiero family, this has been 12 straight years that we've all coached together. And so, they knew my kids when they were in middle school, and now we've got college seniors. So.
Dave, what were the things you wanted to work on the most when you talk about things to fix when you had this extra time that maybe you made the best gains in during this time?
Well, it's hard to say you've made the best gains until you play a game, because if I say it and then it doesn't happen, you're going to say, what the heck is he talking about? I would say this, that I think looking back at the NC State game, that we were so concerned about our secondary and all the players we were missing and how many people we were down and how many guys out of position. Going into it, we probably overcompensated. So that was a little bit of a tough prep, that you're looking at what NC State did a year ago. You're looking at what their coordinator did when they were at Texas. The matchups, some of the concerns, and where we are. And the corner position for us was just, so concerning going into that game because of how many players we were down, that we probably lightened the box too much and gave them some good run surfaces. And then when we adjusted, we kind of took half a step and not a full step. We were just trying not to expose some of those guys out there because they hadn't played before. And quite honestly, some of them just got reps 2 or 3 days before. So you went into it and you say, okay, this isn't the hill you want to die on. But then when they started attacking us in a different way, our answer to that helped it, but probably didn't help it enough. And I just think that we went into it with certain ideas and thoughts, and I was part of those ideas and thoughts, and I agreed with them. And then once we got into the game and they were running the ball well, we probably had to be a little bit more extreme with our answer to what they were doing than we were. And again, we all share in that. I mean, we didn't get off blocks, we didn't make tackles, we lost leverage, but at the same time, I don't know if we outnumbered the box as well as we should have. And, I don't think we always had put our players in the best position to have success, especially seeing what they did early in the game.
Coach, with the way that your game schedule changed, when did you start turning your focus to Campbell?
Really, last Friday. So, we found out Tuesday we weren't going to play Notre Dame. And then we were going to give them about 24 hours to 48 hours to see if it was possible they could play this week, because we both had a bye week this week. So then I reached out to John Curry and just said, John, if Notre Dame can't play, I think it's worth starting to make some phone calls to see if anybody who has a bye week the next week could move the game up. I just don't want to go 2 bye weeks without playing. And he reached out to the ACC. There were some ACC teams that might be able to move up. and Campbell said that they could do it. And so we just made the decision, hey, if Notre Dame tells us tomorrow that they can't play, let's just move this game up so we don't take a chance of going 2 weeks without playing. And then after Notre Dame on Wednesday told us that they couldn't play the following week, as coaches, we started preparing for Campbell on Thursday and then started preparing our players on Friday and Saturday.
Dave, can you talk a little bit about playing in front of more human beings this week? I know there's going to be more fans there, so that'll be nice.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just happy for our players, parents, and families. I mean, just, you know, when, as you know, John, when your son or daughter competes at something, you know, you want to be there, and you want to be there if it goes well. You want to be there if it doesn't go well. You want to be there if they have an injury. You know, that's just part of being a mom and dad, that you want to be there for your son or your daughter. And I think it was very anxiety provoking for a lot of our parents and our players, that for some of them, it was probably the first time they ever played that their parents weren't there. And so we're grateful to the governor and the leadership, you know, of the state and our university that has found a way to get this done. The most important thing for me is that we have our players' parents at the games and their family members. And so that'll be good for them. And, you know, hopefully this will continue to get better and we get more people there, but this is a good step. And I know our parents' families are happy about this. Our players' families are happy, so.
Coach, Luke Liddon here with WFMY News 2. Quick question for you. You mentioned there were quite a few challenges present having that double bye week. What were some of those challenges, and how do you think you as a team moved through them and are maybe better prepared for this upcoming matchup?
Well, the one thing about bye weeks is it gives you a chance to examine what you've done, you know, what you're doing well, why you're doing it well, what you're struggling with, why you're struggling. You know, to me, it's always a matter of, is it what we're doing or who we're doing it with? And once you come up with those answers, then you can start figuring out what you got to do differently or who to do it with. Now, usually that's after you play 4, 5, 6 games and there's more of a body of work, you know, and for us, it was just 2 games, and the one game we couldn't stop the pass game and the other game we couldn't stop the run game. So I don't know how much we really know. Certainly some things stuck out that we have to get corrected. But now we're going to play really 4 games in the next 5 weeks, and then we'll have another bye week. And I'm sure we'll have a whole different set of problems once we get there. That's just the nature of football, that, you know, you fix this over here on the right, and all of a sudden another problem, another leak springs in the left. And that's coaching. You know, anything you do to fix something leaves you liable somewhere else. And that's where the placement of our personnel, who you put the stress on, you know, there's certain people that they've got to win matchups. You can't outnumber the run and double cover every receiver. And we just got to start relying on the players that have played for us up front, in the box, at safety. And they're going to have to win matchups, and we're going to have to count on them to do that.
Coach, Donovan seemed to have a lower back issue after the NC State game. How is he? Is he back to 100% or close to 100% heading into the game against Campbell?
Yeah, he's good. I mean, we've got fresh legs now. That's for sure. So yeah, it's, you know, it wasn't anything serious. He's been able to get in the training room and do his rehab, and he's been able to practice, and he's better, and we expect him to play.
Along those lines, Dave, it seems like the outside receivers, you really need to get those guys going. Is that a case of what you're doing or who you're doing it with?
Well, right now, you know, we threw the ball deep 7 times against NC State. We were 0 for 7. You know, we've given all of our guys chances to make plays on the perimeter. You know, we threw it up there to Donovan a few times, a Torian, you know, threw it up there to Donald Stewart. You know, so number one, we've got to throw it a little better. But number 2, when you have one-on-one throws, you know, you've got to be able to make plays on those. You've got to be able to make contested catches. And that's something a year ago we were awesome at. I mean, if you look at the amount of big plays, you know, that if we had that matchup, the ball went up and Scotty and Sage made those plays. Now, Scotty and Sage, you know, Sage didn't make as many of those plays in 18. Scotty certainly struggled to make them in 16 and 17. Those guys didn't start playing and make all those plays. They progressively got better at it. And, you know, that's the one spot when you look at us on offense. If you look at the skilled positions, how many freshmen and sophomores were playing that haven't played before? You know, they do great things in practice. You know, carrying it over to the game is a learning experience and a growing experience. And, you know, Connor, you and Les watched a ton of our practices over the last 3 to 4 years. And you would see Scotty do things in practice that he then didn't do in the game. And then all of a sudden last year, almost every one-on-one matchup, we threw the ball deep to him and he came up with a play. And so our guys are learning to do that, and we'll get better. You know, that's where, you know, it hurts us like everybody not having a spring. If we could have got those guys 100 deep balls in spring football, they'd be a little better at it. But we just got to get better. You know, we're right now kind of, you know, there's certain spots we're old, but there's certain spots that we're really young and have some guys that haven't played. And we just got to make sure that our guys are disappointed but not discouraged. And we have the makings of a good football team. I mean, Torian Perry, Donovan Green, Ja'Cory Roberson, Taylor Marin, Nolan Gruhl, you know, Blake Whiteheart. I mean, we got some really, really good young skilled guys. But talent you need, but you also need experience. You need grit. You've got to work through those tough times and come out in a better spot. And that's what, to me, is the most important part of our football team right now, is these guys have played for the first time. It's not as easy as they hoped it would be, and we knew that. Are they willing to work through it on a daily basis and become the players that we know they're capable of becoming? And there's a whole history of guys that have been through this and ended up in a better spot. And I'm confident that will happen.